Thank you so much for attending your Queendom Come, presented by the Jesus Church, under the direction of Apostle Angelica Reese. Our special guest for this evening is Dr. Virginia Praylou, PhD. She is a licensed Christian counselor, speaker, trainer, former special education teacher with more than 10 years specializing in DV experience and nearly 5 years of working directly with abusers. She owns Matters of the Heart counseling, consulting, and coaching service that is Vancouver and Atlanta-based practice that offers trauma-informed therapy, Christian counseling, as well as coaching and consulting services. Please welcome Dr. Virginia Praylou as she does her workshop on Dating 1000, identifying abusive men and abusive relationships. Please welcome Dr. Virginia Praylou.
And I'm Dr. Virginia Praylou. I wanted to give you some information about me, but Angelica done such a great job on the intro that maybe I don't need to do that. But I wanted to talk to you first about if you are looking at this video, Dating 1000, the characteristics of an abuser, and how to avoid those relationships. I want you to like, I want you to share, I want you to tag a friend, and I want you to bring some other people in so we can get this watch party started and get this conversation going. I'm so excited to be talking to you all today. We had a couple of technical difficulties. I think we worked everything out this time, so maybe we won't have to have that situation next time. So, welcome to Dating 1000. And you think to yourself, this is about queendom, and how does queens don't get involved with abusive men. Queens have their act together, but it's not true. The real deal is that when you are involved with a man, uh, and they are in sync with what you think and how you feel, any woman, no matter what her level, no matter what her economic status, no matter what her gender, her race, her creed, her whatever, can become consumed by a man that may mean her no good. So I'm going to go ahead and give you some information. I'm going to provide a lot of information. So as we go through, please like, share, and heart. Again, tag a friend. And as you go through and hear something that touches what you believe, think, or would like to comment on, write your questions down. The first thing I wanted to share with you, I, the reason I came to this place about sharing with women how to avoid abusive relationships is because I worked with women who were victims of domestic violence. But at the same time, I worked with the men who were the abusers. So I was in a unique category to listen to the women and help them with healing, and listen to the men and help them change their thinking in the way. Uh, in the way they went about acquiring their power and control over these women. So I thought to myself, so what can I do? Do I stay in the same situation and just listen, help the men and help the women? What can I do for some of the younger women, or what can I do for women who are currently in domestic violence relationships? Well, what I can do is help you avoid these relationships. And here are some things that you want to remember. I want to give you a statistic first. Statistics are anywhere from 2 to 4 million women are abused every year in the United States. That's 2 to 4 million women. And that's the abuse that actually is reported. So you don't really know about the women who are emotionally abused or secretly abused that doesn't report it. So it's said that 1 in 3 women are abused in some form throughout their life. It says causing lasting damage to victims' psyche, self esteem, family structures. And at least half of the victims find that the emotional component of abuse is the most damaging, even when physical and sexual violence is also present. So I'll be transparent at this moment. I was in an abusive relationship. Um, for a while. I was married. I was a worship leader. I was a daughter to Sister Rose. I was a older sister to my brothers and sisters, and when I went home, I was being abused. So there was some physical abuse, some on my part and some on his part. But it was more the emotional abuse. I said the physical abuse made me want to kill him, and the emotional abuse made me want to hurt myself because it just drug me down. Now, I was a prominent person. I was teaching school in South Bend. I was like I said, I was a worship leader at my church. I was active in the community, but more than all that, I was embarrassed. I never wanted anyone to think that something like abuse could happen to me because I got a lot to say, and I'm all this and all that, but really, abuse is like a silent killer. And if you are a person like me who did not want anyone to know what was really happening, um, because I didn't want anyone to know what's happening, I was embarrassed by it. I kept it a secret. I would not tell anyone. And I remember nights after night, his type of abuse was sometimes if you wanted to go to sleep and maybe he was intoxicated, but he would keep you up all night. Now I have to go to work, I have to go to school, I try to get the kids and all this. He would keep you up all night, which is psychological torture in and of itself. And then I remember this one time, and I was pregnant with my youngest son. I was to go to school to take all my final exams, and he got upset. He took the car, he took the money, he took my keys, and I was stranded at home, not able to go and do what I needed to do. So I went across the street, and again, God does things. He puts you in situations because I promised myself I'll never get in this situation again. But I went across the street, which was very huge for me because of my own pride issues. I don't like asking anybody for anything. I don't like telling anybody any of my business. I don't like people being involved with what's the personal things that are going on with. But I had to. This was a final exam to graduate from Indiana University, and I went across the street and I asked a lady named Miss Shelton. She's gone on now, but her sons and our families were very close. We lived on Brookfield on the north side of South Bend, Indiana. I asked her for $1.75 to get on the bus, and it was like I had asked her for $5,000. Well, she gave me $3, and I was able to get the bus. But I remember walking up the hill, 9 months pregnant, or however many months pregnant. I was 9 months pregnant. Um, it was raining. And I took my two children that I had with me, Demarcus and Markeisha, to school with me. I sat them in the back of the class, and I went on and took my test, and I had to borrow 50 cents from someone to get home. But I promise you, that particular day is when I decided I would never, ever be in that position again. He put me in that position. I allowed myself to be in that position. And I know you're asking, well, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just leave? Well, it's more complicated than that because you know me. Well, I had already been married before, so I didn't want my children, all my kids, to live with a different daddy. So I said, well, my last baby, we're gonna live with their father, and we're gonna be a happy family. But it didn't work out like that. And I want you to understand today that you don't have to be embarrassed by the things that you went through. God gave me that lesson because He never wanted me to be put in that position again. And I've never, ever, ever, ever since that day been put in a position where I couldn't find, get, or put my hands on some money or have a resource that would help me on that day. Now, trust me, my family, if I'd have called them, they would have came and helped me without a doubt, and there would have been lots of action. But that really wasn't what I was interested in. And again, by being embarrassed that I was in this situation, it's not something I wanted to share. So I don't know, if you feel me out there, but it was plenty of opportunities for me to get my family involved, but that's a whole nother story. I decided that what I needed to do was share with women some of the signs that they needed to know, see, or you know, what would help them identify abusers before they get into relationships. So I endured the abusive relationship. Yes, I did. But I want to help you avoid the abusive relationship. So men who are abusers, I began to become they are interested in influence and interaction. They use persuasion, coercion, and manipulation. And to a woman who is, single, ready to be in a valuable relationship, persuasion can look like care, and manipulation can look like love, and coercion can look like something special. So, but these things you want to identify. um Domestic violence is preventable because the relationships are avoidable. So you learn the warning signs of how uh domestic violence is a common virtue. It's an easy thing to fix if you know what to look for. So again, I told you about the statistics in the world, but what you need to understand, and ladies, if you are not in a relationship, or if you are in a relationship with an abusive man, you need to listen very carefully. Your life can be ruined by someone who never lays a hand on you. He doesn't even have to hit you. It can be all through threats or manipulation or anger. He doesn't even have to lay his hand on you in anger, and your life literally can be a living hell. And this person's life is heaven because now you are stuck in some form of slavery because you weren't able to recognize the signs. I know women who were 70 years old in my group were in relationships with abusive men for 50, 60 years, and and until he passed away, that was their only release. But then they were still bound in their mind. Now I'll tell you, one of my sisters, we were all getting ready to go somewhere. We were all in the room getting ready, and one of my sisters said, uh, "Sister, why are you wearing? You so cute. Why are you wearing those big old bloomer panties?" And my sister sat down and said, "I didn't even realize that I was still wearing these." She had been separated from her husband a year and divorced from her husband a year, but he told her that she had to wear bloomer panties. So she was still stuck in that mindset of abuse even a year after he was gone. So this is that kind of coercive, in the beginning, it's that kind of coercive control. Um, living under a suffocating system. And in the beginning, it's so sweet. They call 15 times a day, and you're not, you if you're anything like me, I flattery is something that could probably, it could have gotten to me back in the day. So I'd be flattered by something like that if I didn't understand that if you calling me 15 times a day, you don't have anything else to do but worry about what the hell I'm doing, and I think that's a problem. So if you have a man that is calling you 15 times a day, he's not just calling you because he wants to hear your voice. He's calling to find out where you are and what you're doing at all times. And this is the beginning of the control. So Everyone, the abuser wants to control every aspect of your life. When you look at him, you say, okay, he wants to know where you are. He wants to control the relationships with your family. You probably don't have any friends. You are probably isolated from everyone that you know. All relationships cease except your relationship with him. But this doesn't happen immediately. It happens over time. Uh, so again, like I said, it's a type of slavery, and you defined it as hell, but they defined it as heaven because they literally are treating you as a criminal and getting away with everything that they're doing. So again, they must maintain control. And how do they maintain control to a partner without being punished? Well, the risk of a young lady, a woman of 30 or a woman of 50 getting into a relationship with an abusive man is the same today as it was 50 years ago. So the girl that was listening to it on her boombox back in the 90s, to the girl who listening to uh, Beyonce on her iPhone 6 today, men have not changed their tactics. And let me make this caveat. I'm talking about men being abusive to women today, but women, there are many women that are emotionally abusive to men as well. You can't necessarily be physically abusive. You can. There are some women that fight men and do things like that, but you're not stronger than a man. And his threat is that he's bigger than you and he can kill you. So that's the physical threat to him. But there are some very manipulative, emotionally abusive women, but that's not what I'm talking about today. Okay. So coercive control, living under the suffocating system where someone controls every aspect of your life. What you do, what you say, what you eat, how you look, what you dress, where you go, how long you stay. You need to remember and you need to look for in abusive men. The first thing is isolation. They don't want you around other people. And they will tolerate family to a certain degree at a certain time, but certainly in the beginning, you kind of are whisked away from your friends. You can't have any friends, and eventually you become isolated. So because when you're isolated, they have complete control. So before you left offline, I was getting ready to tell you about a young lady that I met in one of my classes, and she realized she was in an abusive relationship 15 years later, but this was the first day that they met. She said they met in the club. They went home and slept together. And she knew she had probably made a mistake, she said, when she looked back at it, because within 24 hours, he was sitting on her couch with his shirt off, watching TV with her remote in his hand. In 24 hours, he had gained enough of her confidence to have her remote. Now, the remote control is a big deal to all men. I don't know one man that the remote control is not a big deal. But her remote control, she had been living by herself for 5 years, and within 24 hours, he was there on her couch with his shirt off, underwear on, and the remote control in his hand. Something is wrong. Manipulation, false fronts. They can pretend to be they can be charming, they can be sweet, and they but then there's the one little thing, oh, why are you wearing that? Or why don't you wear your hair like this? These are seemingly suggestions in the beginning, and then they become threats in the end. They're controlling, jealous, charming, critical, intimidating. These men never take responsibility. They're hypersensitive. They don't accept any blame. They're cruel, narcissistic. They always play the victim. They never accept responsibility, and there's always a justification and a minimization. They justify what they do and minimize what they do to you because it's not that big of a deal. They have avoidance behavior, and many of the men in church use the Bible to keep the women that they have in their lives in place. And this is after. So I want you to look for these things beforehand. Women in long-term calculated abusive relationships are often they often go to the church to try to talk to somebody, and the victim becomes the victimized by the church. I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm going to still help my ladies who avoid these relationships, but um, just know that the church has a lot of work to do to get to where we need to understand what abuse is and why it's not important for a person that like me who is a counselor. The marriage is not more important than getting the person out of the abuse. I know God loves marriage, but he also loves his children, and he doesn't want his children abused or hurt, men or women. So women in long-term calculated abusive relationships, this is what you have to look forward to if you uh get involved with an abusive man. There's financial abuse where they will be in control of all your finances. You are not um you don't have any control. All right, so there's spiritual control, there's emotional control, verbal abuse, financial sexual abuse, and often abuse can't be seen by the abuser, but it blackens the hearts of the victims. And when the victims go to someone to say I'm being abused, and then are turned around and victimized by the church, it's a double whammy against who they are, and it's like they are never able to get out. All right, and I got a couple more things I want to tell you before we open the floor for questions. And I don't know if maybe I'm the only one that has been emotionally abused. Maybe I'm the only one that has in the church, because I can talk about that because I was in the church, going to church, singing, praising God, praying, shouting, and everything, and still being abused. So the risk of girls and women getting stuck in these relationships is, like I said, 1 in 3. Prevention for this type of paradigm is to turn it on its head. Normally, what we do is help the women who have been abused and try to help the men who are doing the abuse. But I was like, we need to take a step further back and help the people who are getting into relationships. Some people are in the prime of their lives, getting ready to begin to, be available for their husbands, or in relationships, trying to navigate themselves through. So, don't just abusive relationships don't just happen. The abuser uses tactics to look at R. Kelly. R. Kelly used the same tactic over and over again. His main tactic was to allure younger women. But if you look at the video, two of the women he had, he looked at them. He decided their self-esteem was low enough that he could take control. He took control of them, put them in control in the house, because he didn't really want the 30-year-olds. He just wanted them to be like the mother of the house. uh and over again, he used the same tactics. He identified young women, and we as women, we love compliments, we love nice things, we love, but we got to be able to look deeper with the third eye and understand that every gift is not given in the right uh in the right spirit. Every compliment is not given, and I can't stand deacons that have candy and always want the little girls to come and get candy from them. I got a problem with that, because I think that's set up. But I'm not gonna go there today, because I've told Jelly I was gonna be good. But abusers, I mean, all men are not abusers, but there are plenty of men who are. All women are not abusers, but there are plenty of women who are. And the patterns are visible, they're consistent, and they use the same tactics over and over again in the same order with each new relationship. So they have twisted, dysfunctional uh, tactics that they use to continue to allure women. They are hyper and controlling. They are 95% of abusers are men. And these men are that I interviewed and worked with and facilitated were very manipulative and very proud as they would talk to each other about how they were able to manipulate a woman. And as a counselor and a therapist sitting back watching this, they know that I am unable to share their names or but I can share the information with you to help protect you. So here's some of the secrets. It's key information men don't want you to know. It's used at the start of a relationship. The first thing is grooming. You can take that one from R. Kelly. Grooming. It's scripted behavior with a purpose. You're saying and doing things to quickly lure someone in. I had something in my other book about false intimacy. So you know how you spend hours and hours on the phone talking to each other and telling each other you love each other, and you are nearly exhausted, and you feel like because you talk to the person 6 hours or you've listened to them talk for 6 hours, you really know who they are. But the fact is they still a stranger to you. You don't know how they're going to react in a situation. You don't know anything, but you have this false sense of intimacy because you spent so much time with a person. And you can always tell because they start saying stuff like, this is my wife, like within the first five minutes. Oh, you're gonna be my wife, anyway, you know the men I'm talking about. Grooming, saying, doing things quickly to lure someone in, and inspiring trust. So they do things to get you to trust them, and then talk about other people that you trust so they can pull you away from them. uh, they want to interfere in your emotional attachment with someone else and bring you closer to them. This increases their control. So all this is psychological manipulation. So they lying and deceiving, and a lot of times it's a form of human trafficking, because now human traffickers, they don't ride up in a white van and kidnap you and put a bag over your head and throw you in the back of the van. No, what traffickers do now, what they do is find young girls or old girls or any age girls that are looking lonely and looking desperate, looking or feeling with low self-esteem and low self-worth. They find you, connect with you, they make you fall in love with them, they often get you pregnant, and then they have you hoeing on the street. Now, this is what I know. This is not what I heard. This is case after case after case that I have read myself. This is the new way of human trafficking, and technically, they get them to do things, outside of the relationship. But when you think about the abuser, it's about the same power and control, whether you are being trafficked or in sex trafficking, or you are in an abusive relationship. You have no control on your own. These techniques are designed to grab you like wildfire. So I was 38 when I got married the last time. The pastor and I, we've been married 17 years. And he and I were in the same place. So uh, when he came along, I was ready. But prior to marrying him, or prior to even meeting him, I asked God to show me who I am, because I wasn't sure I was fit to do this again. I, you know, did my own picking and it didn't work out so well. And I was like, I mean, I could wait on God, but I mean, I'm wise. I can pick, and finally, I came to the conclusion that maybe I did need to wait on God. That was the smartest thing I had ever done. But the techniques that abusers use when you get in new relationships, They try to go straight for your emotions. They distract your attention. They, and what you do, what we do as women, we underestimate the impact of what is happening. We don't. We hear him say, well, bring me a glass of water. And in those moments in that relationship, that's where we want to be anyway. That's what we want to be doing. And so we open up, we're wide open to the techniques of power and control that they begin to use. One of the things that an abuser does, the first thing they do is maximize their contact with you. Oh, but if in the beginning of a relationship he would have wanted to do that with me, probably I would have thought to myself, "Oh, that is so nice. He wants to shop with me and be with me." But most men don't really want to do that, and if they do want to do that all the time, because yes, we do go together sometime, but he don't go when I do my four spree shopping spree. He doesn't do that. I mean, he doesn't want to. No one wants to. I've tried to get people to go with me, but it's like an all 9 to 9 type thing. Nobody wants to be involved in that. But it, in the beginning, if that had happened, I would have probably thought, oh, that is awesome that he wants to be with me. But that's not what an abuser does. He begins to fixate on your extended contacts, and then he creates conflict. Why your mom always calling? What? That's my mama. What you mean? Why my mom always calling? Which would have been my response. But if it's subtle, oh, your mom called. She loves checking up on you. This is how it sounds. And so to your ear, it sounds like he cares. So and then you feel like you know him because he's sharing. Really, you're sharing with him. He's not as much sharing with you because he's not going to share his tactics with you. You'll tell him things that you might not say, because you stay up late and you talk on the phone a long time. He wants everything done his way, but he in the beginning offers your way because you are open to his love and what you believe he's trying to give you. You let it go his way, and all the time he is continually gaining more power and more control. Now, I know you say, okay, Dr. Praylou, yeah, this happened to you, but I'm smarter than that. Yeah, uh-huh. So every woman I know from this level to this level has been abused in some way, form, or fashion. So if you think that it can't happen to you, maybe you have a special power, but these men have practiced their craft, and if they catch you with your guards down, you'll get caught up. He'll try to lower your confidence. The So this is how that happens. Um, you'll say, I think the milk is $1.79, and he'll say, no, it's $1.78. Now, for me, that's wasted breath. I don't even know why you needed to discuss the penny, but these are the type of things because they need to correct you. They need to be above you. They need to try to shatter your confidence because if they shatter your confidence, you're easier to manipulate. Once you're easy to manipulate, you're easy to control. So if you make a mistake, it's grandiose. If they make a mistake, it's minimal. They don't want no responsibility. You can't not tell them anything. I'm talking. And when you're in the beginning of the relationship, you may say, you may make comments, or they may make comments or jokes at your expense, or embarrass you, or something like that, or make you feel self-conscious. They might do or say things that make you feel dumb or unattractive. Now, Now, some of them dive right in and begin that, depending on your self esteem. And I don't think that I've ever had low self esteem. I was kind of shy when I was younger, and as I got older, I did struggle with some self-worth issues because when I was in the abusive relationship, I kept saying to myself, how could I let myself get into this relationship? And at some point I was deep, too deep to leave. I didn't have the money, I didn't have the resources, and I did have the resources, but again, the pride wouldn't let me let anyone know. Then they got the nice nastiness that they do. They got the push pull because they're trying to lure you in and pull you in and see if they can begin to control you. So the nice nasty helps you begin to form your Stockholm syndrome. So you see something is wrong, but you still stay in the relationship. And as a matter of fact, the relationship gets stronger because they treat you this way and you stay. So they treat you bad, you are embarrassed and don't want to tell it. They apologize and you think they love you because they apologize. And the cycle continues. You go over and it happens over and over again. And the relationship, his power and control gets stronger and stronger every time you go back. So quick ways to spot. I'm gonna go ahead and give you this. Quick ways to spot an abuser. They give you too much too soon. Too much. Too many compliments, too many gifts, too much togetherness, too many promises. They talk about the future. You only 1 week with somebody and they're already saying, this my wife, this my house, these my kids, or this. First of all, I think that's a little loony, but I have seen it. I have seen it, and it happens too soon. Start calling you his girlfriend, future wife, claims you're mine now. Making big plans for the two of you. Did y'all see that Tyler Perry movie where the young lady that's in the have and the have nots? It was in there, and this young man started wooing her, and they ended up getting married, and he ended up taking her house and selling it. I know y'all saw it. Transforming. They immediately start trying to change you with unsolicited advice uh, on trust, beliefs, and personal style. Uh, you can't trust them. You can't trust people at the church. They always, you can't believe anything. I know niggas like that. You can't, excuse me. I know people like that. You can't believe anything that they say. And all along, these are uh tactics to bring you to their way of thinking. And we again, we are just so open, we are honest, and we want to be loved, and we kind of don't see these things and until it's kind of too late, because you can literally see them and still fall in love with them and still be stuck. So they transform your beliefs, your personal style. Oh, you look so much better with short hair, or you would probably be cute if you would just, stop eating. Well, how am I going? I'm not gonna go there. If I can't stop eating, okay, so uh that wouldn't, if a person said that to me, we would break up right then. So that, but he would have to do other stuff that would he would have to do other stuff with to know. So also, you know what you need to do. Those are other statements. You know what you need to do. You need to. If I was you, I wouldn't talk. I wouldn't talk to them. I wouldn't talk to the people at work. Or your sister is always calling you, or always coming over here, and you shouldn't let your kids do that. You shouldn't. And it would be fine if we were in a relationship and it wasn't too soon. It's too soon to do things like this. And this is how you recognize that this person is going to be controlling, which is going to be a thorn in my flesh for all of my life. You are. Another way, you are joined at the hip. You're only 2 days in a relationship and you together all the time. You can't go to the store, you can't go to the bathroom. You they insist that you go everywhere together. And if not together, they'll contact you again 15 times a day. They want you focused on them, only on them at all times. And when the focus is not on them, there is an attitude in the air. They want you to prioritize their needs above your own, even your own children. They will want you to prioritize. They want you in isolation. Abuse thrives on isolation. And as you begin to see this, you got to do a hard break. And I know, there's a lot of nice people in my family. There's a lot of not so nice people in my family too. But there are a lot of nice people in my family. And often they don't want to uh, damage the relationship, whether they are being damaged by the relationship or choose not to damage the relationship. So they will go along with what's happening so they don't damage the relationship. But I'm going to say, damn the relationship. If you are headed into an abusive situation, if you are headed into a relationship that is going to cause you to be in hell for the rest of your life, and if you are in a relationship that is causing you hell, get out. That's not the way God wants you to live. Many women have a hard time saying no, even after they see the warning signs. And I, I don't think I saw the warning signs, and I think I saw the warning signs, and I just kind of, like I said, I thought they were cute. I thought that meant, oh, he's a little jealous. Oh, now my little fat chubby self, I was like, okay, because he don't want nobody to he don't want anyone to have any of this. Okay, I know that's what he was thinking, but I was wrong. They don't want you know we don't want to hurt their feelings, or we don't want women to we don't want them to dislike us. Perhaps you are afraid of their anger. I don't know. Maybe you are afraid of what you think he's going to say or do. But I'm going to say, run, run, run for the hills. Do not stay in a relationship that makes you feel especially in the first few months. You should not feel bad at all. It should be complete bliss. And if you're in a relationship that is causing you trauma and pain in the first few months, again, run. It's better to avoid a bad relationship than get in something that you're going to be stuck with for the rest of your life. Every woman, every teen girl should learn the full range of tactics that men use to lure them in. Like I said in the beginning, it's all cookies and candy, it's all candy and gravy, but it is hell to get out of a relationship like that. And you hear women, and I think I hear people always say, well, all they got to do is, no, it's not that. It is, it's finances, it's emotional. I would say pack an emergency bag, have an emergency plan, and plan your escape. And men, if you are in a relationship, and I'm saying plan your escape may happen in a week, it may happen in 10 years, however it needs to happen. uh Understand that you are valuable and you are not supposed to be abused. You're not supposed to be abused by women, and women are not supposed to be abused by men. And there's many things you can't. And the thing is, you can't let it go on. If you're in an abusive relationship, you can't let it go on. You have to address. And I know that it could be dangerous, but an abuser sometimes doesn't even know that they're wrong. It's how they operate. Some know what they're doing, but this is the way they've been raised. This is the way they've been bred and brought up. So this is what they believe to be okay. And if no one ever says anything to you or them about the abuse, it just continues. And guess what happens when a man abuses his wife in front of his children? The children become abusers or subject to the same abuse. So my message today is you can avoid getting into abusive relationships by keeping your eyes wide open. The Bible says, guard your heart. Above all, guard your heart. Don't open your heart up soon as you meet someone just because he seems like the perfect man. He needs to be tested and tried and true. And you need to see. And now you will be able to recognize these things. They're not just complimenting you because they love you. They could be complimenting you to see if they can use that as a means of power and control. I want to speak a little bit about the embarrassment of uh, abuse. The reason many women don't come forward is because they're embarrassed by what's happening to them. Um, Judges, nurses, doctors, it doesn't matter. Your next door neighbor, housewives. I taught I facilitated a group with Girls Inc. 2 summers ago, and a little Spanish girl was in the 5th grade, and her boyfriend was in the 6th grade, and he was already punching and abusing her, and she was already prepped, primed, and understood that that's what she deserved, and that's what the way she had to live. I don't want our young ladies to feel like that, but that means we can't facilitate that by being abused. I don't want our young men to believe that this is what the way that they can get power and control. Now, all men want a certain amount of power and control, but the tactics and the ways that they get it. My husband controls me by feeding me, taking me to Chick-fil-A, taking me to Golden Corral, uh, and he always give me bunch of money. I'm controlled, shut tight as a door. And I say that jokingly, but he doesn't need to control me. All he needs to do is love me and protect me, and I completely submit myself to him. I know that may be hard, and I know y'all went off on Fantasia, but I'm saying when you get the right man, you don't have to worry about all the things we just discussed because that's not important to them. What's important to them is to love you like Christ loved the church. And when they do that, they can't outgive what you give to them because they are feeding into the power base that is going to birth their miracles, whatever it is that they want in their life. So I have a little bit of time. I know that we kind of, I'm not even sure what's going on, but I know that we have a little, I know we have some time left. So if you have some questions, and let me go ahead and say you can send if you would like to sow a gift into the message, you can send it to Virginia Praylou PayPal, or you can send it to $ try life MOHCC1, and that is try life TRILIFE matters of the heart MOH counseling and consulting CC1. If there are any questions, all you got to do is, I think you can type them on the screen right now. I should be able to see them. Or Angelica will let me know. Angelica's in the background helping me through this ordeal. And I appreciate you all getting online. I know that I know, and we may do this again. This particular course is kind of ongoing because there's so much to talk about. Well, if there are no questions, again, I'm Dr. Virginia Praylou of Matters of the Heart, Counseling, Consulting, and Training Services. If you need, I'm doing free sessions for first responders throughout COVID. So if you are feeling stressed about COVID-19 and Corona and fearful, you can receive a free session from myself, and my contact information. Uh, I'll leave my contact information at the bottom of my my page. You can use my card, but in any event, my number is 914-433-1661. Again, that is 914-433-1661. We have a sliding scale for those of you who may need that service, and we have coaching packages and counseling packages for whatever you need. Some things you cannot deal with by yourself, and it is not smart to try. Let someone like myself help you get to the next level in your life. Don't put off, because you can accelerate. You can move fast forward if you know the formula, if you know what to do, or if you know what's stopping you. But if you don't, you may end up being in the same situation for a little while. But let me help you. Let me as a group, we don't normally do counseling. But I think we have the wrong idea about what that means. It's just having an accountability partner that helps to push you forward, that helps you identify some of the things that may be stopping you from moving to the next place in your life. Um, oh, I have a question here. It says, why do men think that they need control? No, they don't think that they need control. It's the nature of a man to be in control, but it is how you use your control. You can use your power for evil, or you can use your power for good. And it is the nature of a man to protect, the nature of a real man to protect, to provide. So that's their way, of doing things. If you think about some of the old movies where men used to help women across the street, and they would grab their arm and help them, because it was thought that women were kind of clumsy, so men needed to help, so they automatically assumed that role. But that's the role that they've always been in. Now there are some men that don't think that they need to work, or so they need to use manipulation to control. I mean, most men control their households, period. That's just the way they are. But men who are not about the right thing, they use manipulation and control to run their households. Because who would follow somebody that doesn't have any scruples? So they have to pretend, they have to be charming, they have to do all these things to make like they are the man that they really want to be. Let me give you an insight. And let me share with you how Mr. Sensitive is. Now, Mr. Sensitive is a man who is in control, but this is how he controls. Mr. Sensitive is often good at talking about psychological issues and appearing to be sympathetic to his partner in general. However, his behaviors reveal a different reality. He's moody, particularly when he doesn't get his way, and ensures that the focus of the partnership is on his feelings. Now, and then look at this, the player, because this is a different man. The player often surrounds himself with women who likes to keep he likes to keep his partners guessing as to whether or not he has been faithful. His dishonesty ensures that he's always in charge of the relationship. And so you got different men. If if a man is in control of his home, he is the priest, the provider, the protector. So he doesn't take the money and leave his wife, without. But the wife doesn't take the money and doesn't neglect the household. So sometimes men have to be more in control when they have a woman who is out of control. Some men uh, don't have to be that controlling because they have a spouse who is an equal partner with them. But then there are some men who are so controlling that you can't do anything, and that's the man you need to avoid. So the question was, why do men feel that they need to control everything? Well, that's their nature. But it's how the control is used. How? Because we all want control of our situation. We all want power and control over the things that are important to us. My two children are here in Georgia. I want my other son to come. Now that's and I'm trying to do anything that I can to help him get here. Am I being controlling? If he'll let me, I if he'll let me, I will. If I can use some tactic like money or a job or a girl or whatever I need to use to get him down here, I'll do that. But you know, all of us have a need to have some control, but we don't have to use our control for evil. We use our control for good. Let's see. I have another question here. Hold on. And please go ahead and send your questions. And men, I see I have men on. I have men on. So please go ahead and send your questions in too, men. Don't be afraid. Let's get into it. I have another question here. Why do young men act just like their fathers? It's obvious. They emulate everything that their father does. They want to be exactly like their fathers. And you know what will happen often in a home where the father is abusive to the mother? Resources. And maybe you are not being abused, but maybe you know someone is, or maybe you were in a relationship that was abusive. Please share this information with your girlfriends. Please help them see the light. We can often see it in other people, but we can never see it when the situation is us. We can never see it. We had a landlord when we moved to Vancouver. It was a nice man, and his wife, I think she was Asian. Well, in the beginning, she was very soft, subservient, very kind, very, yes, 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 yes. After they got married, became very aggressive, very dominating, and very. She's over all the finances. She's over, and he's just kind of like whatever she wants to do. I just don't want to get in any trouble. Basically, that's abuse. But he couldn't see it in the beginning because she was charming and sweet and kind and yes, yes, sir, yes, sir. But that wasn't the real person, and that's why you have to spend time getting to know people because whatever their persona is, it doesn't want to be hidden, and they can't. Their representative can only uh, represent them for a little while. The real them will come out after a while. The real person will come forth. And the devil, he's not interested in being hidden. Soon as he gets his chance, to put his head out and do whatever he can. Okay. All right. Any more questions, Angelica? Are there any more questions for us? Okay. If there are no more questions, again, you know, he says he loves me, but what? What kind of love? And let me just give you one point before I leave. Men can only love you in the manner in which they have received love. So if they are from a dysfunctional family that doesn't know how to love, or love is one of their issues, you're probably going to have an issue. And I told my daughter once, she she I told her she was a 10, but she brought home a 2. And I said it's just not going to work because tens do things that twos don't know nothing about, and twos do things that tens don't know anything about. So the two couldn't come to the dinner party at the house with all of our friends because it was too formal, it was too much, it was too much pressure. He said it was too much. And she couldn't go to the underground ghetto, whatever he was doing. She felt uncomfortable there. But they can cohabitate. So if you get a 2 and a 10 together, that equal 12. You divide it by 2. At some point, he can come up maybe to a 5 if she'll go down to a 6. But you don't. connect yourself to people that are not in your category. If he doesn't know how to love, he can only love you with what he has. If he don't love above being a dog, that's the kind of love he's going to give you. And if you, as a 10, accept it, then you empower him to keep doing what he's doing and bringing you down, and you bringing him up. But most likely, he's bringing you down. So when you are looking to get into your relationships, or if you are in a relationship, you know, and there's nothing you can do, be mindful of your daughters and share with them how to recognize these things so they don't get caught up, so they don't get in situations and have to endure the same thing that you're going through. But the real deal is they're going to do exactly what you do. They're going to find probably the same exact man. Sometimes you'll get children who say, that's the one thing I don't want to be. I'm not going to be a father like that, or I'm not going to be a mother like that. But inevitably, what you see and what you are around is what you become. So, again, Dating 1000, this was just to help you understand that you got to look deeper into the situation, and not just look at the surface. Look at the surface and what the surface is saying, because this is your life, and you can live a life of slavery to a man that you believe hates you but says loves you, or you can let God lead you to the right man and enjoy the benefits of the greatest relationship of your life. And I will say, right now, I am in the greatest relationship of my life. I've never been loved like I'm loved right now. I've never been treated, and we joke and play a lot, but I honestly know in my heart, if something happened to me, he would look out for my children. And he knows that if something happened to him, everything that he would desire for me to do to help him, I would do. And it's so great to be in a relationship like that. Only God can do that. We can't do it on our own. We don't have enough insight and foresight. We don't have a panoramic view of everything that's going on. So while you're over here, God knows what's going on over here. So your will and his will might be something different. Your will might be something different, his will for you. So just be prayerful, be mindful, and let God lead you to the man or woman that he wants you to be with.